Well, good evening. It's August the 13th, 2019. We've had a pretty nice day in Vernon, most likely about 75, 80 degrees again. A little cloudy, sunny and cloudy. Not bad. Been some thunderstorms the last few days, but nothing really bad. A little bit of rain. No fires around here. South of here, they have a fire, which I think they pretty well got under control now. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about a couple of things. As one of them is, I guess I have to admit it, it's a thing that's caused problems in my family. My grandson's getting married this Saturday. I was invited. The other day I got uninvited. And the reason was that I said on a blurb on Facebook about the way the world's going and whatever else, and then including in that statement, I said, gays and all the problems with abortion, gays, and whatever else, and included in many other things. Anyway, that did not go over well because I have a grandson that's gay. And being I don't agree with that, I'm been disinvited. I can't go to my own grandson's wedding. Yeah, and I thought that's not a very good thing to do by a family. The thing is, I don't think that I don't think they should do that because I haven't changed a thing, nothing, never. I haven't changed a thing that I've believed in all my life. They have changed, and they expect me to agree with that, and I'm not going to do that. The I see a real problem with this politically correct crap, and it's so powerful. A small amount of people, maybe 3% of the population or something, can bamboozle and put fear in the rest through the media. The media is the power thing that they use, and people just collapse. They just fall in line right now. But the other thing is, I have a real problem with people thinking that they can just change beliefs and say, "Oh, this is fine." He's that nice person and all that. I don't know how it is they think that they have acquired more wisdom than God and whatever else. They are able to change and make laws. Uh, it makes me think that they believe that they they have eaten from the fruit of the tree of life or tree of good and evil. I don't think they have. And, the problem is man can't make a law. He can't make one law. He makes regulations to try to run things, and they usually get worse. Only God can make laws. The that part is just a little amazing to me. But the thing is, it actually doesn't bother me because I kind of known the way they're going, and it didn't even surprise me. I was sort of like expecting that reaction. The problem is, I don't know how in the world they'll ever they undo this. You know, that shows how something like gay agenda in a family can raise problems. I mean, just one person doesn't agree with it, everything's wrong. You're this, you're that, you're terrible. You do not have a right to believe what you have always believed. The problem is there's consequences for it. And I can get enough consequences in my life as it is. I don't have to do that. the the other thing is, are not as people are not as good as everybody thinks we are. I heard a saying the other day that there was a bunch of people in a meeting, and kind of a, well, it was supposed to be a religious meeting of some kind in New York or somewhere. And this guy in there he said to them, he said, there's more people in here who agree or are closer to Hitler than they are to Jesus Christ. And they just dropped their jaw. What the heck are you talking about? And he said, no, that's true. He said, you can't, people sitting next to each other have evil thoughts, right? They can't even control. And he said, that's why, he said, that's why we need to realize our condition. The other thing I was thinking about, not just today, but is the idea, that people have said for thousands of years, I guess, oh, let's end, oh my God, it can't get any worse than this. This is the end of the world. I mean, there's been wars and stuff like that where they said that, other reasons. But, God has said in different places that something has to get to a certain level with him. And it's not complete, like he says, the evil of it is not complete yet. You have to wait for it. And it gets worse and worse and worse till it gets to its limit, and then he has a limit on it. And that must be the reason that he's let this go on for thousands of years. Many, many generations. I don't know how many generations it is now since Jesus Christ was crucified. I don't know. It'd be interesting to know. I've just sort of tried to figure out, and I've heard other figures too, that maybe there's been about 75 billion people so far on this earth. Some say it's up to 100 billion. And I wouldn't doubt that God has an actual limit on it, and when it's ready, it's ready. His numbers are so big that it's we can't fathom it. I think many times that we people. I don't know how many people actually think about it. I think a lot of people do not think about it. They don't want to think about it because I notice that. Well, I heard somebody say that if Christ sent a message and said, "I'm coming on Wednesday," he said there would be all kinds of people who would say, "Oh, good grief, why do you have to come Wednesday? I was planning on fixing my fence on the weekend. I was going to go to another city. I was going to take a few days off. I was going to go fishing, for God's sake. Do you have to come on Wednesday?" Ah, I don't know if that's exaggerations or not, but I think that's kind of true. Because if you ask people who said, "Do you want Jesus to come tomorrow or on Wednesday?" would they say yes? They'd say, "Well, I'm not ready yet." When he says I'll come when you don't the least expect it, it's most likely very, very true. But well, I'm going to wish my grandson the best, and I hope he does well, and I hope they have a good life. And he's got an excellent start. He's sold his house, moved to another place, an acreage, 20 or 23 acres, right in just out of town here. Goes right to borders on Swan Lake, and I think he's rented out. It's in hay and whatever. He's up on a knoll overlooking everything. Things have gone quite good for him. And he's been sort of a model son, you could say. He never really got into trouble with anything, you know, looked after himself. I had him out at Desert Cove one summer as a student deal, and he worked good with everybody, and they all liked him, and they were wondering if he was coming back. And all this, I said, no, I don't think so. He's just here for a student deal. His other brother was out there. I had him out too 1 year. Well, he was good. He worked too. He didn't dawdle around or anything. In both cases, I had him paint a fence from the front gate out to the highway, practically, which took him like 2 weeks. And so they both did the same thing. And, my daughter said that he compartmentalizes everything. He has so much money for this, so much money for that, so much money for this, and so much money for that, and that's it. It's all allocated up. Everything he does. He likes trips and traveling and stuff like that. He just looks forward to that all the time. He has a big boat that he takes out on Okanagan Lake, and it's a wave boat of some kind. It creates its own wave behind it, and then they surf on it, surf behind them. And yeah, he's a big guy. He's about 6'6", I think, 6'7", good size. She's gone to school, and she's has an office in town here, and she does acupuncture, Chinese medicines and stuff, and like a naturopath, and massage and all that sort of stuff. It's all natural stuff. She's into that. And it's basically Chinese medicine. That's what she does. And she's a smart girl. Yeah, well, I'm glad for that. I'm glad I don't have to be there for them to get married, so it's no big deal, I guess. They can certainly get married without me. But to invite you and then turn around and say, no, we don't like what you say. We don't like what you believed in all your life. I don't know about that. No, it's bad when you have a dysfunctional family. Makes you wonder why you even ever got married. And but I leave that up to God. God will decide what it's going to be. I'm supposed to actually pray for them, which I do. Even if I don't like to, I do anyway. And the other thing is this business of forgiveness. Someone does you wrong, does bad, you naturally just say, you're going to fix him or they, and you do that. That's just so natural to do that. But God says, don't do that. Forgive them. No matter how bad they do you. If you want to try to be a son of God, you've got to forgive like God does. So I know that forgiveness, without it, I'm screwed, because if I don't forgive, I'll never be forgiven. But how do you forgive when you can't forgive, honestly forgive? So I ask God to do it for me. I tell him straight out, I don't know how to do this. I know I have to do it. Please forgive them on my behalf. Or, you know, make it so that I can. But I don't want to not forgive them. Because, you know, how many people say, oh, I forgive you, but, you know, in their heart they don't. Well, that can happen. So I think the whole idea is that you have to actually physically do it. You can't just think about it. You have to say, I forgive him. I ask you to help me forgive him, because it's important. Forgiveness is very important. The whole thing of God boils down to forgiveness. The whole, everything. He's willing to forgive the world and everyone in it practically unconditionally, except for maybe one or two things. And that's what happens. Is the sad part with people and a lot of things, and gay people in particular fall into that category of where God allows them to have to become have a reprobate mind. And this doesn't happen overnight. They have to do these things which they know is wrong to start with. They know that. But pretty soon that wears off, and there's no more conscience and no more shame and no more regret anymore. None at all gone, or they wouldn't do it. So a person with a reprobate mind basically ends up with no conscience, no remorse, and being that is the case, that sees nothing wrong with what they do. So therefore, they would never ask for forgiveness, ask God to forgive them. And if God doesn't forgive them, then they have condemned themselves. God has not condemned them. But God allows that reprobate mind to take advantage of them when they go against his law and everything that bad. And they do have the right, or they could have the possibility of being changed again if they asked for forgiveness. Honestly asked. God would forgive them. But he knows that they can't. They won't. Once they have a reprobate mind, they are sealed. They condemn themselves. They are condemned then already. That's a very sad thing. Nobody talks about that. In other words, when somebody is gay, they are lost. That's it. And their mind works in such a way that that doesn't bother them. They don't care. They don't even think about it. And they maybe don't even know it. Some of them would know it, I think, but not very many. There was a lawyer in town here I dealt with when I was a realtor. And in fact, I dealt with him when I was able to make a deal for my son-in-law and daughter to buy the BX Ranch. And he was in charge of that. Right after that, I understood that I didn't know he was gay. I knew he acted very effeminate. I knew that. I could tell that. But he was going to church. He was doing things in church, teaching Sunday school, doing this. I think he had about 4 or 5 kids, maybe more. I don't know. Anyway, he left his wife and kids and took off with his gay lover. Everything. Law practice, everything. That shows you how powerful that is. When someone gets hooked by that spirit, and that's a spirit of not good, he succumbed to it, and that's the way he went. Now, he is most likely condemned too, because God says, turn them over to a reprobate mind, and they can do whatever they want to themselves, and they will suffer the consequences. And in the long term, it's even worse, because they've condemned themselves. And God can't help them anymore. And that, to me, is a very sad thing. That means my grandson is shot and gone. Nobody seems to care about that. That's why I get upset about it. And my daughter has tried to be too politically correct to her own disadvantage, and link and shame and family and everything. And this has enabled this to happen. I never promoted that in my life to her. My wife was very secular. I don't know if that's where she got it, but yes, my wife has been sick, had a stroke, I guess had another brain seizure or something again the other day, and she's insistent she's going to go to this wedding. I'm being told I can't go to the wedding because they don't want me there. But anyway, she's going to go. She's been, looking forward to this for a long time. Now she had a stroke, and her one right arm is disabled, and her face is crooked, and she's told people that I am not to come to see her because she doesn't want me to see her that way. And I thought, that's vanity. Well, we were together, we lived together for 46 years, not just a little while. Had a family and lived together for 46 years. I know her like a book. I know everything about her. I know more than my children do. My children only lived with her for a few years while they were growing up. She was a very good wife and a mother, but then something took hold of her, and she just wanted to be on her own, and that's it. I warned her, I said, growing old is no big picnic, especially on your own. I've managed a bit now. It's been 15 years since we separated, and I've had to learn to live on my own, and I guess it could be worse. I sometimes wonder if it wasn't supposed to be this way, because it was getting bad. I mean, God says you're not supposed to be yoked unevenly. Maybe comes an end to that. Yeah, oh, oh, well, I pray for it. I believe in prayer. I know that because I know prayer works. That's for sure. Absolutely works. God answers prayer if it's a sincere prayer, and you believe God, you believe in Jesus, and you ask. He says, in fact, in most cases, he said you can speak to a problem, and if you believe strong enough, it'll go away. It'll go away, and you speak to it in Jesus' name, and you say, I want that problem to go away. It's the funny thing. God doesn't like to do or doesn't want to do things unless people ask it. He tells people to pray. You'd think he wouldn't think, but it makes you wonder that he just wouldn't do this. I get, well, he does everything else. He does everything else that keeps the world running. It's like a maintenance plan of the universe. It's got to be maintained. The sun has got to stay in a certain place. The stars have got to stay in a certain place. They've got to rotate. They've got to do this. They've got to do that. Nature's got to work one year after another, producing, changing, doing everything. And all this is going on for a certain period of time. And I honestly believe it's only to give his own seed, or his, not his seed, but the seed he's created, to make a choice. I used to think as a young guy, even, I used to think, well, life must be like a 2 week holiday. You're on this holiday and you're looking around, going here and there, and you got to decide what you believe and who you believe in. Maybe that's the only reason you're here in the first place. And I read it's to develop a character, a godlike character, and I don't know if that's not very easy to do. But well, I know that it's actually hard to do, because to do things the way God said, it's just people. How in the heck are you going to do that? People malign you, steal from you, say things to you, and all you're supposed to do is turn the other cheek or forgive them. How many times? 70 times 70, he says. In other words, as many as it takes. And that's what it is. That's a hard one to do. You're supposed to be generous. If somebody wants your coat, give them your shirt too. Anyway, I guess they'll have a wedding. I guess I don't know if I'll even see pictures of it or not. Who knows? Maybe not. Yeah, and the thing is, I guess I can't go over and visit them anymore. Yeah, because I can't I can't go along with what they're doing and believing in, and I doubt they're going to change. They won't change, even though I haven't changed one iota. I haven't done anything. Well, anyway, it's not for me to decide. I guess it's what's going to be will be. Yes, it's a funny world, that's for sure. I do feel sorry for my son-in-law. He's a good guy, and I don't think he should. You know, I'm sure he didn't wish this at all on his family and son. I'm sure of that. Yeah, I feel sorry for that. Anyway, enough of us whining. I'm not going to whine about it anymore. We'll just do what comes naturally every day until it's finished, I guess. Anyway, all I have to say is God bless you and see you again.